Hello, my name is James Carty, and I briefly wanted to introduce myself before I started my presentation. I recently completed my PhD at the University of Tennessee in May of 2024. I've presented at multiple conferences, really around the United States, and then published multiple articles in different academic journal articles. So my research agenda continues to flourish, and I currently teach as a professor for multiple schools online, communication related topics since my PhD is in communication. And I love spending time with my family. We presently live in East Tennessee. My wife's name is Lisa, and my two wonderful children, their names are Annabelle and Jace. So I'm going to share my screen to start the presentation, and we can just go from there. So the name of my presentation is Swifties Across Borders: An Autoethnographic Exploration of Participatory Culture and Kindness in Taylor Swift Fandom. And I'll explain the nature of that title as we go. So Wall states autoethnography is an emerging qualitative research method that allows the author to write in a highly personalized style, drawing on his or her experience to extend understanding in a societal phenomenon. So naturally, in the case of Swifties community, and again, I'll get into further detail with that here in a minute, the autoethnography allows us to understand what it's like to be in the shoes of a participant of certain cultures or communities. So here I'm addressing Swiftie fandom, both from my experiences in the United States and also specifically in Scotland. And so Swifties are anybody that is a really devoted fan of Taylor Swift. As you know, she was very successful recently with the Eras tour, all around the world. I mean, it extended 2 years, made billions of dollars, and was very successful. So, as I noticed over several years with several of her tours, there's a strong social connection between Swifties in these communities with deep bonds. That there's content creation across multiple social media platforms that share. For example, when I was in Edinburgh at the concert, people were live feed streaming the concert. Then people from all over the world in different countries were watching the concert in the live feed and then commenting on the experience with people at the concert and the people that were watching the live stream. So there's a global community in the worldwide network of passionate fans. And with that said, I noticed in Edinburgh that it was a little bit more of quieter communal activities where there was the intricacies of trading the friendship bracelets, which obviously also happened in the United States. But I noticed a warm gifting to newcomers such as myself. And then in the United States, when I studied this as a cultural phenomenon, Taylor dating was a huge experience in all of the Eras Tour cities, meaning people were physically tailgating before the concerts and almost having like a mini celebration before the concert experience itself. But fans by the thousands would sit outside the stadium if they didn't have a ticket to listen to the music, in addition to folks that had tickets in the stadiums themselves. So like people were congregating by the thousands. And so while that happened again in Europe, I didn't see it quite as much as on a grand scale. So also in the US, I see more like fan made merchandise like Christmas ornaments and T-shirts that have the names of the albums. And in Edinburgh, I saw it primarily concentrated on your traditional clothing and friendship bracelets and things. So it was like almost like less marketing, less sales paraphernalia, and it was really about the cultural experience. So again, gifting, I had people giving me friendship bracelets that took several hours to make, even though I didn't have friendship bracelets to give to them in return. And again, that's just a common practice among Swifties. I saw people really assisting each other, like giving each other water when it was hot outside in the long lines to get into the concert, and people allowing other people to get in front of them. There was no like aggression towards one another or impatience demonstrated. And it was just kind of like a common courtesy, even in the subways to the concert in Edinburgh and then back to the accommodations. It was very tight, and people were just kind of making sure everybody was okay, and nobody was like, uh, completely like saturated in discomfort. And so, from the Theoretical Network by Henry Jenkins, he establishes this participatory culture where you become a part of a group, a community. You have affinity spaces where networks of mean making and connection are strong relationships that turn into this convergence culture. So there's, even like I explained, that blend of online, offline fan activities. And then, while I haven't gotten into main specifics of, because there's only so much time to present in this video, but there was a different cultural experience in Scotland versus the United States. So I toured, or went to the Eras tour in Edinburgh, and then previously went to the 1989 Reputation and Red tours, so 3 tours in the United States. So this is kind of like a comparative analysis and study of those two experiences. So Taylor Swift has obviously launched a global identity. Her brand has been, it's multiplied exponentially in the last 2 years, and 2 to 3 years, as she's just kind of exploded in reputation. And then, as I said, there's cultural customs in Scotland or in another European country or another South American country where she might have toured versus the US. And then there seems to be like this local adaptation. But no matter what, I saw that kindness and that mutual support showed time and time again when I was in Edinburgh. I mean, there's people going out of their way. I didn't pay for concessions. People bought me drinks and food just when we started talking, and they realized I was an American visiting their country. And it just seemed to be like an extended going out of the way type of kindness among the Swifties. And I was just very impressed by that. So, the contributions to fan studies when you're talking about communities with musicians or entertainers is that there's an evolution of this participatory culture as the perspective of an autoethnography where they're in person, right? The fandom adapts across diverse settings, even across online and offline activities. And so it illustrates community building, making fandom a vehicle for positive social interactions. And in this case, positive kindness of one fan showing nice actions towards another. There's global, local dynamics as well. And so that's what was kind of interesting about this going from a US tour to an international tour, is that there were differences in the different cities and countries that Taylor Swift visited. This is me at the Edinburgh tour, Eras tour in Edinburgh. Murray Field is where this is. Though I think it's the largest venue for a stadium experience in Scotland, and so naturally that it was sold out for 3 nights straight when Taylor was touring. This is, again, these are my photographs, but that is Taylor in her Lover set, which is an album, one of her many albums. And then these are some of her backup dancers. She had phenomenal backup vocalists that were even kind of their own show and entertaining in and of themselves with their facial expressions and their gestures. So she just kind of gave it her all for 3 hours or more. And it was really like at like 3 hours and 20 minutes with this concert experience. And it's rare that I see artists perform for that long. And I think it's one of the reasons that fans have adored her as much as they do is because they might feel like they're getting their money's worth in the concert experience, that she's giving it her all. And the only other artist I've seen perform that long is Garth Brooks. And so artists, most of the musicians that I've seen in person perform for less than 2 hours, sometimes even less than 90 minutes. So it's an experience in the fact that you don't have to be a Swiftie to enjoy it. I think a lot of people that have seen Taylor would agree that it was a pleasurable experience and that they were very entertained. So here are some of my references. Again, Henry Jenkins with convergence culture and the idea of being a participant in participatory culture, and then a few of the other journals as well. So thank you for listening. That's my presentation, and I look forward to seeing you guys at the conference here soon.